Twins fall 8-4, and Elly De La Cruz may still be admiring his grand slam. We break it down tonight on the Locked On Twins postcast.
You are Locked On Twins postcast, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome into the Locked On Twins postcast. An 8-4 Cincinnati Reds win tonight. I'm Sam Ekstrom, filling in for the incomparable postcaster general himself, Luke Inman. He is off tonight. I'm joined by Zone Coverage's Theo Tollefson, talking Reds 8, Twins 4, spoiling Byron Buxton's return. We'll, of course, talk about Buck homering as he comes back to the lineup. At the time, it seemed like a nice game-tying home run, but the bullpen tagged late. The Reds score 7 in the final 3 innings, and they pull away for a 4-run win. Tonight's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the Prize Picks app. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code all lowercase LockedOnMLB to win $50 instantly when you play $5. Theo, it was another frustrating night at the ballpark for the Twins. The rally sausage, I think, was 2-0 upon its return. No magic tonight in the late innings.
No, I mean, that thing is pretty rotten, all things considered, just from how old it is. So it was only going to give so much luck for so long. Unfortunately, this really did come down to the bullpen. I mean, I know Bailey Ober's pitch count was a little high there after he got that second out in the 7th inning, but handing it over to Alcala and everything just imploded there. That was the big difference maker because you need to get that last out. I understand giving Ober a little bit of rest, alleviation, but the worst case scenario played out. Elly De La Cruz lived up to the hype that he's had ever since he made his Major League debut last June. And it's just another frustrating bullpen loss. And of course, people are going to go onto Twitter now. They're going to blame Rocco for this, for making the decision. Well, Rocco wasn't the guy on the mound throwing the pitches. That was Jorge Alcala. And unfortunately, this is his worst implosion since that game in Texas, which they had pretty close, and he had that 5-run 7th inning where he came in and everything just did go wrong for him.
Everybody's taken their turn with the implosion. We're going to detail the top of the 7th in just a second. Again, make sure to subscribe, Locked On Sports Minnesota here on YouTube. Check out the audio of this show, the Locked On Twins podcast feed, or the Locked On Sports Minnesota podcast feed, wherever you get your podcasts. All right, it's 1-1 going to the 7th. And this game was flying, Theo. I mean, we were like an hour and change into this game. We found ourselves in the 7th inning. Ober on cruise control, 69 pitches through 6. Honestly had complete game kind of stuff the first couple times through the order. Then the 7th happened. Ober gives up a triple to Spencer Steer that ricocheted away from Matt Wallner in the right field wall. TJ Friedel comes up with the suicide squeeze, turns into an RBI bunt single. He gets on base. Ty France follows with an RBI double, 3-1 at that point. Then a walk, then a couple outs recorded by Ober. So it's still a ball game. It's 3-1. 2-on, 2-out when Ober exits with 90 pitches, does not log a quality start, which has been all he's done the last 3 months. Loses the quality start because those two inherited runners scored via Jorge Alcala, walking Jonathan India, and then serving up a gopher ball to Elly De La Cruz. First pitch, I believe, grand slam, no doubt about it. The phenom, Elly De La Cruz, goes deep for his first career grand slam, 24th home run of the year. He's a future 40-40 club member. This guy is ridiculous. 65 extra base hits this year, and I think like 65 steals as well. He's absurd. And it's a pitch you can't throw. I think it was off speed down the middle. That's an unacceptable pitch in that situation.
Yeah, no, you hit it right on the head there because, I mean, that pitch going right down the middle, he was just salivating at where that landed for him. Drilled it. I mean, like you said, this guy's going to have a 40-40 season down the line. Unfortunately, he's probably not going to hit the 30-30 mark just because he's got number 24 here tonight for home runs, but as you mentioned, already 60 some stolen bases. It's stuff unreal. I mean, this is stuff, someone he shares the number 44 with in Reds franchise history, Eric Davis, is really the last guy who had that type of talent to swipe 60 bags, hit 20 to 30 home runs a season. And, this guy's living up to the hype, but, the Reds, as we are very familiar with some of their guys like Spencer Steer, Christian Encarnacion Strand, former farmhands of the Minnesota Twins before they got traded over to the Reds for Tyler Mahle, and we all know how that trade worked out. That was more injuries than anything else, but hey, it is what it is. And Steer was showing, what could have been with the Twins here tonight, and this Reds team has some growing pains to do because they're all so young, whether it's their hitters, their pitchers. I mean, Jonathan India, who won Rookie of the Year for the National League 3 years ago, is considered their veteran guy. That's where they're at. I think they can definitely compete in the next season or two, but, when you're in these tight games as a team like the Twins trying to keep your postseason dreams alive, young guys like this, they're looking for a chance to play spoilers, and that's exactly what they did here tonight, even though American League playoff outcomes not going to affect them as much, but, they got to be taking some pride in that victory here tonight.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think that pitching injuries probably have sent the Reds to where they are, which is, a handful of games below 500. But this is not a tanking team. This is a professional offensive lineup with guys that can hit and guys that are trying to win baseball games. The Cincinnati Reds are not going to go quietly. So if the Twins want to come back and win this series, they're going to have to show up. And now they've lost the Ober start. Ober's final line, 6 2/3. 5 earned runs, 2 of those obviously inherited by Alcala, 6 hits, 2 walks, 6 strikeouts, 90 pitches. Final note on De La Cruz, by the way. I don't want to twist the screw in too far to Twins fans, but like the Twins stars have a hard time playing baseball games. This is the reality since Buxton, now with Lewis and Carlos Correa. Elly De La Cruz has played 147 games this year. Like how I couldn't even believe the number. What? They're allowed to play that many games? This is unbelievable. Like think of what the Twins could get out of 147 games of Royce Lewis and Byron Buxton. That's the best quality of Elly De La Cruz right now, is he plays every day.
No, he's going to probably hit the 162 game mark in his sophomore year and not face a sophomore slump. So again, living up to the hype. And, it's a rarity that things like that are not familiar for Twins fans, unfortunately, because, as I reported yesterday, their next top prospect that are expected to break through the major leagues, his season's pretty much done. Emmanuel Rodriguez had a thumb injury that kept him out for 3 months over the summer. He was up for the Saints, had 7 decent games, had an inside the park grand slam for his first home run at AAA, which was phenomenal to see in person. But Wednesday night's game, he just swung badly at his pitch during his first at bat and then re-aggravated the thumb injury that, sent him on the IL earlier this season. So like, it doesn't matter where you are in the organization right now. It just seems like the top stars can't escape this injury bug. And, unfortunately, this kind of overshadows Buxton's return. He did his part. He hit a home run, kept this game tied early after TJ Friedel had the first run of the game off a solo home run of his own bat. So it's a good thing to have him back. And I wrote about this yesterday at Zone Coverage, where, it's going to be a significant thing to see him play 100 games for the second time in his career. But it's also such a downside that this is only the second time in his career he's made it to 100 games in a single season, which is very telling of, his injury history and everything else.
Yeah, more on Buxton's return and a couple other lineup updates with Carlos Correa and Max Kepler perhaps returning soon as well. But to put a bow on the way this game ended, if the Twins had a rally in them, it was probably going to happen in the bottom of the 7th inning. They did clog the bases. They got, Julian Aguiar out of the game. They got into the Reds bullpen, an RBI single for Willie Castro, and then Brooks Lee, 2 out, 2 run, 2 RBI single in the bottom of the 7th to make it 7-4. Twins needed one big swing. They needed a big blast to really make this thing interesting. Ryan Jeffers had one that nearly leaked up the middle. That would have helped considerably. But ultimately, the Twins can't mount any kind of rally in the 8th or 9th. And that includes an 8th inning against Emilio Pagan, another familiar face for the Reds. Other than the 7th inning, again, another very stagnant night for the Twins bats.
No, absolutely. And that's been the common theme over this last month, where everything's just been dwindling down. I think the bats have been their greatest weakness. And then, the bullpen, they only have so much of a lead to protect, if any at all. And that's where these implosions come in, because they're getting tired down the wire here. And, Varland transitioning back to the bullpen full-time is only going to do so much for the depth they have there. I know they have a few guys in the minor leagues right now, Diego Castillo, Randy Dobnak being a couple of those guys who could come up and, just alleviate things during the final week of the season. But it's just everyone's running on fumes here, unfortunately, and we're seeing the worst side of it. And you got to hope that a return of Kepler and Correa can really stabilize things for the offense so they can still squeak in this third and final wild card spot. But yeah, everyone's just running on fumes, and you can just see it in them.
You're just grasping at anything, right? It's like, a bloop RBI for Brooks Lee. Maybe this will snap him out of the funk. You're clinging to anything. Royce Lewis with the near grand slam the other night. You're just hoping that something can spur this offense on. And tonight, again, except for rally when you're down 6 runs already, very feeble effort. We'll get into the Byron Buxton return, the updates on Carlos Correa and Max Kepler coming up next on the Locked On Twins postcast. We are presented tonight by Tonal. For those of us who thrive on getting stuff done, including workouts, every minute counts. That's why you need Tonal, the smart strength training system that takes the guesswork out of working out so you can make sure you're making the most of every rep. Tonal is the world's smartest and most effective strength training system that helps get you stronger. It's powered by AI. Tonal learns with every rep so it can deliver workouts personalized just for you. It's like having a personal trainer at home with you, as Tonal will optimize every workout just for you. Unlike traditional gym equipment, Tonal uses adaptive digital weight to advance your training techniques. From pro athletes to the mom of 3, Tonal's trusted by thousands who have become their strongest. Right now, Tonal is offering our listeners $200 off your Tonal purchase with promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's Tonal.com. Use promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off your purchase. That's Tonal.com. Promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $200 off. Twins lose 8-4. That's Theo Tollefson, zonecoverage.com, covering the Twins. I'm Sam Ekstrom, filling in for Luke Inman. I'm the executive producer here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. So the big headline was supposed to be Byron Buxton, and it was for the first 5 innings. Buxton returns, first time since August 12th, and homers his 17th home run of the season. Game-tying blast at the time to make it 1-1 turns into a footnote with the Twins' 8-4 loss. But getting a guy that has hit 275 this year and Byron Buxton back in the lineup, even though he says, Theo, he's not 100%, this again, we're grasping. This needs to be, it's not can it be, it needs to be a lift to this struggling offense.
And I think it was, like you said, through those first 5 innings where, things were going a lot better. It was a tight game, more of a pitcher's duel to start this thing out. But then Ober, things getting away from him in the 7th, as we've already covered, it just really wasn't the focus. But having him back in the lineup is definitely a strong presence. I know there were some pregame interviews tweeted out from the usual beat core and the TV media members here who went in to check in on things while they have some downtime ahead of the Vikings game on Sunday. So it seemed like spirits were up a little bit just having Buck back, even though, he's not 100%. Let's be honest. When's the last time he's really been at 100%? I think maybe the beginning of the season is the best argument. It was the first time maybe since like 2019. So, yeah, I mean, you got what you needed. I mean, considering the last time he was in any game of play, he was ejected for arguing a pitch clock thing, and I witnessed this firsthand, and that was his first career ejection. So that was something else. So I think he needed to get back in the game, not have to worry about playing with the Saints. Just get back in the lineup as soon as possible and just do some damage. And he did his part for returning, but again, it was just not enough to keep up with this Reds lineup, and just the big difference maker being that Elly De La Cruz grand slam.
It was the difference, a 4-run win for the Reds. So Buxton slotted in 6th tonight. We get a report also before the game, Carlos Correa and Max Kepler possibly returning within a week, give or take a couple days, maybe more, maybe less. Now for Correa, I've gotten the sense for a while that they're treating this differently than last year. Last year, the tact was playing through it. He's going to play through it. He's going to try to be out there every day. He's not going to be himself. but he's going to be out there. Seems like this year, and who knows, maybe it is more serious, but he's been out since the All-Star break, trying to get back as close to 100% as possible before the postseason run. Now give him a little on-ramp before the postseason, maybe 15 games, 10 games, whatever it might be, to see if he can get himself right. Max Kepler is on the 10-day injured list as well. But, I'm pretty lukewarm on Kepler at this point. It's so hard to know which Max Kepler you're going to get in the lineup. That doesn't enthrall me. But getting the guy in Correa back that was so hot before the All-Star break, that, again, could be the straw that stirs the drink. That's something that this lineup desperately needs.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been saying this with Luke over the past few weeks, but, the best case scenario, as it's looked like probably since, mid to late August when this losing skid really just started to hit, he's probably going to, he was saying, early in this injury when he thought he would be back much earlier, he wanted to go on a rehab assignment before he joined the team. Well, you only got 1 week left to do that. Unfortunately, the Saints are finishing their season here in the Twin Cities in St. Paul. So maybe he goes there for a few games and rejoins the team for the Red Sox series at the earliest. But worst case scenario right now, if all goes well over the weekend, he just rejoins the team for the final 6 games of the series. And you got a little bit of, we'll call it a 4A team with the Miami Marlins this year with how they've been playing. I mean, they're better than the White Sox, but, it's not going to be as competitive baseball as the final weekend series against the Baltimore Orioles, who might be fighting for a division title themselves with the Yankees. And, those two teams are probably going to go neck and neck into that final weekend, trying to figure out who's going to have that division title and who's going to be hosting that top wild card game spot before seeding in the American League. So I think that's the best we can hope for. Obviously, we probably won't hear much more until they're in Cleveland on Monday, just knowing how the usual thing is with the team announcing things and just their process of, talking about injured players. Once you hear from them in the beginning of a weekend series, probably not going to hear anything about them until the end of the game Sunday or Monday afternoon. So we'll see what happens. But, I mean, considering this is an injury that can definitely keep people out for an entire season, and this is not just an injury related to baseball. I mean, plantar fasciitis is something we've seen with former Wolves players and whatnot, and that's an injury that can keep them out for the entire year. So getting him back a little too late, but better late than never. Mm-hmm. And hopefully they can just, tread water, keep pace in this third American League wildcard spot and just keep things maintained so Correa can come back and, be a spark plug to just secure that spot during the final week of the season.
Yeah, the expectation has to change at this point. The division is basically out of reach. And at this point, you want to get in the tournament with the most healthy lineup that you possibly can. And I for one, think the Twins are near lock to get that third wild card. If you look at, what if they go 500, what Detroit would have to do, look at who Detroit's playing, it's going to be hard for the Twins to get caught. However, they did lose a game tonight, and we'll tell you all about the wild card standings in just a moment. I do want to run this by you with the news about Correa and Kepler. What would you project as the domino effect lineup-wise if Correa is back at short? Mm-hmm. Who are you starting in the playoffs at second base? You've got Lee, Julian, maybe Willie Castro. What are you doing there in the middle infield?
No, I think it's going to be Castro or Lee. I think just with the performance we've seen from Julian. Now, granted, he was the last out in the bottom of the 7th, and I will take him hitting the ball and not striking out looking 9 times out of 10. So I'm glad that was the case, but it's still disappointing nonetheless. I think it's going to look like Luis Miranda platooning at third, Lee, probably Castro, Farmer, and then Correa at short. And that's probably going to be the lineup on it because I know Lee has had his struggles battling through injuries at the major league level. He hasn't looked so sharp coming back from the injured list this first time around in the majors. So we'll see what happens, but I think they're going to go with the most veteran, experienced lineup they possibly can and alleviate some of that pressure that could be there if you have Julian, who's struggled all season, if you have Lee playing in his first postseason ever. And, it's going to be tough roster crunching, but that's what it's going to come down to.
Yeah. Again, we went through this last year. There are going to be players left out of the picture that are good players, have something to offer, but you got to put your best 9 out there. Let's update the wild card standings when we return. Some odds and ends from tonight's 8-4 loss, and a look ahead to Simeon Woods Richardson tomorrow. Next on the Locked On Twins postcast. We are brought to you tonight by Prize Picks. It is the best way to play daily fantasy sports with over 5 million active members. All you do is pick more, pick less on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. It's the only real money daily fantasy platform with an injury insurance policy so that your lineups stay in play even if one of your players gets injured in the first half. Prize Picks keeps your picks still live. Prize Picks puts their members first, so all withdrawals are fast, safe, and secure. When your picks hit, you get your money in as few as 15 minutes, and they invented the flex play, which means you can still cash out if your lineup isn't perfect. You can double your money even if one of your picks doesn't hit. How great is that? Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code LOCKEDONMLB. Get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. We are also presented by FanDuel. We've been talking about FanDuel a lot lately. They've got a very special offer for you right now. America's #1 sportsbook is now through September 22nd, so 9 days left. All FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. That's a 3-week free trial of NFL Sunday Ticket. Watch the Vikes if you're out of market with YouTube and YouTube TV. With the YouTube TV base plan, you'll be able to watch every regular season Sunday afternoon out-of-market game. Vikings 49ers on Sunday at noon. Looks like the Vikings are getting a little favor right now with McCaffrey out. That line has moved to Vikings plus 4.5. All you need is a Google account and a current form of payment. You can cancel anytime. Visit FanDuel.com and download America's #1 sportsbook. Get NFL Sunday Ticket. Reds 8, Twins 4 tonight, the final. Just a quick cruise through the bullpen usage. Twins in pretty good shape. They had an off day Thursday. Tonight they only use Alcala, who gives up the grand slam to Elly De La Cruz, and they use Michael Tonkin, who gets through the 8th, allowing a run, a double, and a single, and a pretty clean 9th. So if there's a silver lining, Twins bullpen intact for Saturday, Sunday.
Well, there's another silver lining. All the beat reporters, Bobby Nightingale, Johan Park, and Betsy Helfand have all just reported that Correa is going to be back in the lineup tomorrow. So big tone change. That's going to be a huge help, and much earlier than I was expecting and speculating. But hey, that's why I speculate responsibly, not having immediate access to all this stuff. So hey, would have liked to seen him in St. Paul, but sooner the better, and that's going to be a huge change for the lineup. And it looks like Deshaun Kersey Jr. is going to be back in St. Paul and joining the team there, who also just had his first stint in the majors. And, great player, really nice guy, as I've gotten to know him just on the surface level, covering him, but, well-deserved, especially as he's worked his way through the minors since the Twins drafted him all the way back in 2018. So, huge help. This thing looks a little more lively than it did just 5 minutes ago when we were talking about everything. But to go back to what we were originally talking about with the wild card standings, I think we need to start with Detroit and how their game went tonight.
Detroit wins 1-0 tonight over Baltimore. And Detroit has a tough schedule. This is part of the reason that I am counting the Twins nearly a lock to get this wild card, because they're playing Baltimore, Kansas City, Baltimore. That's 9 consecutive games against winning teams. But when you shut out the Orioles, you deserve to win, and that's what the Tigers did tonight. Royals also beat the Pirates, so the Twins lose a game to 2 AL Central foes, but not 3. The Guardians lose. I'm not sure if that's meaningful to the Twins at this point. The wild card lead is 2.5 with the tiebreaker intact, so really it's 3.5 over Detroit. But Detroit's not going away. They beat a good Orioles team tonight.
No, they had a perfect game going through 7. They were down. I don't know where the Orioles hitters were tonight, but the fact that Detroit was pretty much having a rookie starter go out there and the relievers trying to throw a combined perfect game against the it's crazy. So yeah, I think Detroit is going to be riding high off this a little bit here tonight. And then, like you mentioned, I think at this point, the Twins fans have to be rooting for the Royals to finish ahead of them, because it's going to be daunting to try to play 3-game best of 3 series in New York or Baltimore for that second wild card spot. So you kind of are, it's not great, but with how this new postseason format has worked itself out, you kind of want to hope to play Houston and not the Orioles or Yankees on the road, because those are going to be some staggering teams to play against. So yeah, I mean, just kind of hold water where you're at, tread where it's at. The Royals, as great of these seasons they have had, they're a lot more inexperienced with their postseason roster outside of Salvador Perez, Michael Wacha, and Seth Lugo, who have all had some postseason experience. But the rest of them, they are very inexperienced, and they're going to have a tough time adapting to having to play the Yankees or the Orioles, whoever ends up being ahead of them. So, yeah, I think the biggest series, obviously, this next week on the road is still going to be some very important games. Obviously, division, we're not really looking at that right now, but Cleveland, those games, you still got to at least try to split that series. And depending how the Red Sox play over these next two series, I know the Yankees beat them 5-4 tonight and pushed them back to 4.5 games behind the Twins. I mean, they're still fighting for life there. And if they sweep the Twins, that could be a whole nother story. So again, we got to take it one game at a time. Unfortunately, this bummer of a loss comes with the good news of Correa returning tomorrow. So hopefully something better can come of it then.
Yeah, it could get a little hairy Monday through Thursday of next week. Twins are at Cleveland for 4. That's a gigantic series, not just in that you're playing the best home team in baseball and the Guardians, but at the same time, the Royals and Tigers will be playing each other. So, yeah, someone will lose, but also somebody's going to win. So you're going to lose ground if you lose to Cleveland on somebody, and that's not going to be an easy series for the Twins at all. But they will have Correa. That's good news. Twins lose 8-4 tonight. Their offense shut down by a 23-year-old rookie starter, Julian Aguilar, in his 6th career appearance. Not great. Grand slam by Elly De La Cruz, the big blow against Jorge Alcala. It's Simeon Woods Richardson tomorrow against apparently an unknown Red starter. I don't know if they declared that in their post game. That was not known as of the final out of the game tonight. Final thoughts, Theo, maybe a little look ahead for tomorrow with Simeon.
Yeah, I know his season's been kind of faltering. I mean, this is the biggest workload he's ever had in his professional career, so we're starting to see a little exhaustion from that. But the Reds actually will be sending out Nick Martinez, veteran pitcher, out tomorrow. So I'm just kind of looking for him to get through 5, get some stabilization. I know the bullpen's a little well rested tonight because he only had Alcala out for the 1, and then you had Tonkin throw a couple innings, so you really only have 2 guys unavailable out of the 8, which is a good place to be. So hopefully Simeon can get through 5 to 6 innings, keep things a little stable, going for himself, and get this team back on the right track, especially with Correa coming back tomorrow. I think there will be some better rejuvenation than we saw today within that lineup and in that clubhouse.
All right, that's it. For Theo Tollefson, I'm Sam Ekstrom. It's the Locked On Twins postcast. Luke Inman should be back with you next time. Luke will have coverage of Vikings 49ers on Sunday. Kane Robb, Ron Johnson will have your Gophers postcast action tomorrow. We're covering it all. Wolves, Gophers, Twins, Vikes here at Locked On Sports Minnesota. Thanks a lot, Theo. Again, I'm Sam. So long after an 8-4 Reds win.